Alright, so we're going to talk about adding some switching. I'm going to go ahead and look at this plan. Switching is actually telling you where the switches are appearing on the wall, right? One thing I'd like to note is I have a pocket door here, so I've furred out for that. So just one thing to keep in mind is that the switches embed in the walls, so if there's anything going on inside that wall that doesn't allow that, you need to accommodate for that. There are a couple of things to think about when switching. You have a single pole switch that would just operate from one location. So this is a dimmer, so a switch with a dimmer on it. Here's a single switch with just to a light that comes in here without a dimmer. And then you have three-way switches that go 1, 2, 3 and operate from two different places. Okay, so so that's what we're going to do. All right. We'll also go over power and communication a little bit later. So what I wanted to show you was where they are in the families. So if you go to Insert and Load Family and you look for them, you would go to your U.S. Imperial Library. There's an electrical, architectural, electrical power, and terminals. And you can come in, and I'm going to get the three-way, the single, and the dimmer. And I'm going to click open, right? And that guy's going to come in, and if you go under your electrical fixtures and expand those, you'll see those, right? Alright, so there they are. And what I want to do is just put a single pole here. Maybe we'll flip the door and put it on the other side, put it over here, and connect these guys to it. So just do a series of lines and then connect it to the switch. So if I go into my switch single and expand this guy and pick it and drag it out, I can place it on this wall. It's wall based, which makes sense. And I left click, right? And you'll notice that the elevation is set to 3'9". So that's typical elevation for a switch. You know, if you want to measure them, you can, or look at your literature from your readings. The problem with that is that we're cutting at 6'6" and looking up, so that switch is not visible. So if I edit the range and go 4 feet and hit apply, you'll see that switch show up. But that's really the same level as a floor plan cut, which is a little strange. You'll begin to get windows and all sorts of things in there. So I'm going to go with 6'8" again and hit apply. Okay. Now what I've done is I've created some of my own switches that will show up. It's a little odd that these won't. I'm not sure how they would typically tell you to get around that, but the way that I've gotten around it is I'm going to go to my Insert Load Family, and I gave you these for your own use in the zip file. I'm going to go to Custom Library. I'm going to go to Electrical, and you'll see that I have basically the same things, many of the same things, but with a C in front of them. So if I come in and pick, let's go to switch three-way, switch single, switch dimmer, right? And then I'll do switch annotation with label, okay? And I'll click open, and you'll see those guys come in. So you'll see all my C switch, right there. Okay, and so let's go ahead and put in the single pole. So there's my single, and if I drag that out, you can see that it's visible. What I did was, and let's take a look at this family real quick. You don't have to do this, but basically if I come to the placement side, right, here's that switch. So it goes to 4 feet, but what I did was I put a symbolic line in that's really tall, you know, and the thing you have to make sure is that it doesn't go into the next floor above, so I really should give that a distance right here. But I just made it tall, so when it gets cut, it cuts that line and it tells Revit to show that guy. Okay, all right, so Not that you would totally understand that, but I wanted to give you an idea of what was going on. So there's that switch. And then what I want to do, and this is this sort of low analog part of it as well, is I just want to go into annotate. I want to go to detail line. I want to come in here and I'm going to pick my hidden lines or overhead. It really depends on what you want. And then I'm just going to pick arc, and I'm going to come in and go from here to here, right? And just draw an arc there. And then I'll just pick this, and because they're the same, I'm just going to copy them using multiple and pick the same point, right? And connect. So basically I'm just connecting these guys together. And then I'll go back and go to my annotate detail line again. Still set on hidden, and I'm just going to pick here, whoops, I want an arc typically to differentiate it from any other straight lines. So I could come over here and just kind of arc that like to there, right? And that's how you tell it how to switch. Now if I had it being switched in two different places, right, I could flip this out for the C switch three-way, and it would have a little 3 embedded in it, and I can copy this guy. Actually, let's just create similar and maybe bring it over to another wall if I wanted it to be switched over here. And then I would just do the same thing, go to annotate detail line, and then, whoops, always forget to make it an arc, right, and sort of from there to there to there. Okay, so that's putting in switches, and we'll talk about power when I come back.